Sunday morning. You know, all you got to do is turn the music up and everybody just kind of goes wild. Of course, then you can't calm them down. Good morning. If I ever thought I had control, I've definitely lost it now. So, okay. The happiness of most people we know is not ruined by great catastrophes or fatal errors, but by the repetition of slowly destructive little things. Darn it. The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. Mohandas Gandhi. I guess it was a brother, uncle. That's his real name. Well, I know, I saw that. Well, that's not Mahatma. It's like, okay, all right.
Mahatma is the title.
Ah, thank you for clearing that up. I've been ignorant all this time.
Only about that.
Yeah, well, no, there's probably other things too. Hey, you want to talk about apples?
Oh, yeah, sure.
You may or may not know that this is the largest harvest of apples in Washington history, which is a good thing. What's even a better thing is that we are connected with our relatives, and William works on in the orchards. We have John Gold apples in great quantity to give away. Now, we're not talking about little bags of apples. We're talking anybody who has serious need for, if you have a charity, if you have a food bank, if you have a soup kitchen, if you have anybody who has a kitchen they're cooking in a nursing home, I don't know, and they can use John Gold apples for applesauce, apple pies, apple butter, drying, anything. We will be bringing them to church next Sunday for people who just want that bag. But if you want some serious amounts of apples, you can come out to the orchard. We live in Benton City. I'm going to pass this around, and you just give me your contact information. I'll give you directions to get to the house and when we can get together. They should be delivered by midweek, so later on in the week. And do you know of anybody else who would like to have apples? Let us know, okay?
By the bushel. By the bushel. So this is perfect timing for our thingy at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want me to talk about it now?
Sure, why not?
It's a thing.
It's a thingy.
Oh, and it is going to be such a good thingy. We're going to do a fall festival. It'll be the last weekend of the month. I believe that's the 26th, right after church. Soups, any kind of your favorite soups that you like. We're going to have soups. And then anything else that you'd like to bring along to go along with the soups. Desserts, rolls, gluten-free items, because there are a lot of people who...
Apple pie, apple butter,
apple,
whatever you can think of.
apple.
Made with lots and lots of John Gold apples.
Apple soup, who knows? I don't
Apple soup. Hey,
They
why
got a
not?
pumpkin soup, you know, why not? So I think that by next week...
Apple juice.
Fried apples. Yeah. So I think by next weekend I'll have a sign-up sheet to send around, so we kind of get a head count of how many people are going to come and maybe what kind of soups, so we don't, you know, get too many soups on, you know, off balance on one side and, you know, not enough apples on the other side. Yes, you know, it can also be the Halloween theme. It's Fall Festival, but we can do Halloween because Halloween is that Friday. I was just going to mention that. The pumpkin carving. Bring your pre-carved pumpkin. We're going to have different prizes for different, we haven't quite set like the scariest, the most, ingenious, you know, the most creative. Have the kids, you know, bring theirs if they'd like. So we're going to do a lot of fun stuff. It'll be right after church, so the more the merrier. It'll be fun. Everything we do is fun.
Can we have one that's like the dumbest one?
We could have any category you want.
Maybe I can have pliers stuck out of one eye and hammer through the brain or something. I don't know. So
That would be the automotive thing.
the automotive theme. Okay. Homographs are words of like spelling but with more than one meaning. A homograph is also pronounced differently as a heteronym. So, the bandage was wound around the wound. The farm was used to produce produce. The dump was so full that it had to refuse the refuse. And we must polish the Polish furniture. And it goes on. Stay tuned. Hey, next Saturday is the Holistic Health and Harmony Expo right here in the Tri-Cities, October 11th, right at Track. Be there or be square. Should be a lot of fun. One-day event. So,
ARE in the afternoon.
ARE in the afternoon, right here. ARE in the afternoon. So a full day. Holistic Fair in the morning, ARE in the afternoon. What a day. What a day. Red blood cells can travel your entire body in roughly 20 seconds. Wow, that's fast. Our eyes are so sensitive that if the earth were flat, we could see a candle from 30 miles away. Roughly 90%, oh yeah, some people are going to jump on this one. Roughly 90% of our cells aren't human in origin. Oh, the minds are just going now, aren't they? I can hear them. I can hear the grinding, yeah. Our cells originated mostly from fungi and bacteria. Cool, huh? All right, we do have a couple patron saints, John Lennon and George Carlin. And John, hey, guess what? All you need is love. Imagine that. And George, equally as profound, or not. If you've got a cat and a leg, you've got a happy cat. If you've got a cat and two legs, you've got a party. Don't try to understand it. It's John. See, I already talked about the expo. You missed it. So I'm not going to do it again. But if you want to know anything more, pardon me, about the expo, talk to her. Excuse me. All swans in England are the property of the Queen. Yes, they are. That's a fact. And you may have learned it here, or you may have learned it as a kid and just don't remember. I like this one. Some of these things I find are fascinating, where sayings came from and things that we just say and don't think anything of it. But here, I like this one. With no refrigeration, sailing ships of the 19th century had problems with their food supply. Salt pork was about the only meat that would keep. Whether fried or boiled, it produced a huge amount of grease, which was kept in vats. Although this waste fat or slush was used to grease the masts, it always piled up. Tradition was that the slush was to be sold in port and money used to buy luxuries for the crew. This early slush fund gave its name to money set aside from an operating budget, sometimes used for corrupt practices. Cool, huh? All right. Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Footprints on the sand of time are not made by sitting down. I know there's a thing about butt prints in the sand of time, but yeah, that's... The value of money is that, that with it we can tell any man to go to the devil. It is the sixth sense which enables you to enjoy the other five. Fame is the proof that people are gullible. All right. Let's see. Hey, this is the first Sunday in October. Does that mean it's a healing Sunday? Oh, Jan's not here. She left. She'll be back. Well, yeah, she's used to that. She's used to that. Interchange Wednesday, Sandra and William. Channeling on Thursday with Janice, and ARE course, and the Holistic Fair, and all that other stuff on Saturday, the 11th. Hi, honey.
What?
I know. You always are. This is another one of those. This is the last of the series of the Washington Post Mensa Invitational. Once again, invited readers to take any word from the dictionary, alter it by adding, subtracting, or changing one letter, and supplying a new definition. Pokemon, a Rastafarian proctologist. Oyster, a person who sprinkles his conversation with Yiddicisms. Oh, trust me, it actually gets worse. This one's not bad. Presbyterianism, the belief that after death the soul flies up onto the roof and gets stuck there. Okay, this is the one I'm going to... Yeah, probably. I howled at this one, which means more than likely I'll get in trouble. Circumvent, an opening in the front of boxer shorts worn by Jewish men. Told ya. Told ya. No one will ever look at a pair of boxer shorts again the same way. So. God, I almost had the song we were gonna do. Almost. Not quite. Not quite. Do you need the song of microphone? Yeah. There you go.
Hello there. It's been a long time coming, but I finally found my stuff for drum making class in my garage. So, if you are wanting to make a drum, please sign up. I'll pass these around. I don't know when the date's going to be, but as soon as I get enough people interested, I'll schedule a date. If anybody doesn't know, I have drum making classes. I see some new faces. So I supply you with everything you need to make the drum. What's that? A Native American hand drum. So if you want to make a drum, please let me know. Put your name on the thing. I'll contact you, email you. All right. Any questions? Any comments? Thank you.
Oh, let's do this one first. Thank you. Help me. That never gets old, does it? Doesn't get old for me. Anyway. It's Healing Sunday. Oh, I got so much to share. Let me see where I want to start here. Oh, first of all. Yes, dear Phil?
Sorry, there's a little boy in the men's room calling for his grandma, actually screaming for his grandma.
It was Drew. Drew is wanting you, I guess. Maybe he was asking for me. I don't know. I'm a grandma.
What? Well, it sounds like grandma.
Anyway. This is the time of year where you're either going to be really uncomfortable or really hot or really cold. So we're doing our best to keep the temperature moderated. It was like 67 when we got here. Phil got here this morning. So we turned the heat up a little bit, and people are already using their fan. So you're either going to be hot or you're going to be cold. Just how it is. We'll try to keep it as moderated as we can. That's why we have the fans. So our apologies for your discomfort. Now, with that said, some of the things I may say today may cause you discomfort. And I apologize for that too, but I'm not sorry. Healing. I wanted to share with you, yay, Val. Val and Joe, you're a good job. It's fine. when I sent out the emails, if you didn't get an email from me, by the way, and you would like to get one, I need to have your first name and your email address, and I'll send you weekly emails, updates and things. And it is warm in here. So, Mr. Phil, sorry, I'm just a little discombobulated this morning, I guess. Thank you for your patience. If I get this to move, then other people can share in the benefits here. I'm going to see where its lengths are.
The way of looking at it is too much, it's going to feel really good.
Yeah, it's going to feel really good here. Okay, there we go. All right. Now I'll get some, you can have some. How's that? All right. Oh, wow. We're still not organized here. So, when I sent out the email out, I wanted to talk to you about sometimes our dreams change. Our dreams, our hopes, our goals change. And sometimes it's hard to move past what we think they should be and move into something new and different. So I wanted to talk to you about that because that requires a healing. You know, life changes. And some of the things that we really hope or dream about or count on the most are the things that are either denied or change, shift. And that can be very heartbreaking. Losing a dream can be very heartbreaking. Have you ever lost a dream? Then those of you didn't have your hand up, you just aren't telling me the truth. Because we all have. So, but here's the deal with healing. I need to give you some information about healing first before we talk about this, because they kind of go together. Sometimes does anybody here think they might be an empath? An empath? Does anybody not know what an empath is? Let me tell you what that is. Okay, and because I think there's a lot of people that are empathic here. An empath is someone, if Phil's hammering a nail and he bangs his thumb, I feel it. If you feel somebody else's sorrow, pain, hurt, upset, you're an empath. Okay, you can have compassion for someone and not be an empath and have care for them. But if you physically have a reaction to somebody else's experience, you might be an empath. And the problem with being an empath, it's a blessing and a problem, blessing and a curse at the same time. Problem is that we tend to try to put up barriers, shields. If you're trying to do that, you're going to exhaust yourself. It doesn't work in the first place, and it's exhausting to maintain those barriers. Because here's what happens. An empath is a quicker picker-upper. You are like a sponge or a paper towel. You're gonna pick stuff up. It's not a conscious thing. It's how you're energetically wired. If you're really sad and you're in my energy field extends out about to the edge of my fingertips. If I walk past someone in the grocery store and they're really sad, I'm gonna feel sad. I can't stop that process. That'd be like trying to get a dry paper towel to not pick up water. Not happening. So the key for an empath is to be aware, be as neutral as you can be, so that when you do pick up something, go, oh, I didn't feel that 2 seconds ago. It's probably not mine. Then your job is to go, okay, take that energy, thank you, Phil, take that energy and then you transmute it into neutral and discharge it. You can't give it back. You can't fix that other person. Your task is just to alleviate suffering by pulling it off of them, transmuting it, and releasing it. Now that transmutation process can look like a million different ways. And what works for you might not work for me, and what works for me might not work for you. One way that we'll give you a couple of ways here. So if I'm picking up something, like going to Walmart, oh, gee. That's the fastest way to tell if you're an empath or not. If you walk into Walmart and you go, oh, I'm so tired, you're an empath. If you go in and you're just agitated, you're just a normal person. Okay, so just, there's the line there. Okay, so transmuting that energy, if you are an empath, can look like sweeping it off. If you get it fast enough, it's just in your aura and you can just sweep it off. Sorry. Does that make sense? If you don't recognize it fast enough, it starts to seep in and you might have to pull it off. Grab a hold of it, shake it loose, and pull it off. You'll see when I do healings with people, or Phil and I do healings with people, we'll grab a hold and shake it loose and pull it off and throw it away. If it gets deeper than that, you might want to visualize into your system and change the color, or change the fragrance, or change the texture. So instead of smoke, turn it into steam or vapor. Let it escape that way. Your job is to change it. You came to this world to change things. And maybe all you get to change is how that other person feels for right now. And that steps us into this whole realm of healing, because if I just pull the energy off of someone and they don't have a conscious awareness of that, they don't really heal. So if I pull energy off of someone who's worried and I transmute that and get rid of it, all they have to do is have a new thought and they're worried again. And illness sometimes is a message to us that there's something that is ready to be changed in our life. Okay? Now pulling that back to the dream thing, sometimes when dreams are no longer viable, they will manifest themselves, that issue will manifest itself as a physical malady. It's a heads up saying, oh, take a look, something's changing here, and we get to adapt and change with that. So if you've changed the energy, you've transmuted it, you can let it go, because you're changing it back to neutral. And when you've let that go, it's just energy. It's just energy. It doesn't hurt anybody. It's not a problem. You can release that. Healing takes place on physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual levels. If I just alleviate your physical symptoms, but you don't understand what's going on, you haven't made a new choice, and you aren't spiritually involved, no healing takes place. We've just alleviated some pain, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a nice thing to do. If you've ever had a headache and it goes away, it's like, oh, or a backache, and it relieves itself. Oh, man. Having no pain is a wonderful thing, and not to minimize that. But to keep ourselves clear and not have that reinvest itself or manifest itself again. It's important to have physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual clearing all together. Okay? So that's why when we're looking at this loss of a dream or adapting to the shift or change of a dream, it's real important to realize that physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects all have a part to play. We all have a part to play. Okay, so you lost your favorite job. Okay, you're going to have to get another job. That's physical aspect of that. Then there's the mental, emotional, and spiritual aspect of that. Okay, the mental aspect is make a new choice, maybe learn something new task, a new skill or whatever. Then there's the emotional of letting go of the dream or the job that you loved, or letting go of that circumstance. Being clear of it, moving on, letting go of any sorrow and resentment and hardship, letting go of that. And then there's the spiritual aspect of what was the lesson? What's the lesson? Or maybe it was a job you hated and you got fired from it. Now you have all these emotions about, I'm really glad I'm not working, but I hate the fact that I got fired. And, there's all kinds of stuff going on in that. But that requires that spiritual connection of what is my spiritual path? And okay, now my spiritual path is different. What do I need to do to shift that? How do I need to change? I want to share with you a story. Somebody posted on Facebook. It was kind of a hard thing to watch, but I had to do it anyway. I thought, oh my God, I gotta see this. Now, I'm not talking about the little doggy that's dressed like a spider. That was a whole other thing. You've seen that one, have you? That's just evil on such a wonderful way. But this was a buck, and he had gotten his horns locked with another buck. The other buck died. He had won the fight, but they were in water, and he was drowning. So these fishermen, I'm assuming it was fishermen and not hunters because they were willing to help this little guy, took their little rowboat out, and they tried whacking it loose and yanking it loose, and of course the buck was scared spitless, but he couldn't keep his head up because his horns were tangled and this thing was just hanging on him. He couldn't pull it out of the water, he couldn't get to the bank, so he was swimming with this dead weight. So somehow they rowed to shore, got a saw, came back and sawed the antlers, trying to break them loose. They still wouldn't break loose, so they tried whacking them. And of course, every time they tried to whack him, scare the buck, and he'd swim away from them. But he let them try to help him, and they'd try to pull on this thing. So finally, there was one lucky whack, and you could just hear it go snap, and the buck just jumped up and broke free and got himself to shore and shook himself off and went on his way. When we carry around a dead dream, it can drown us. And sometimes those dead dreams are so real, and we want them so much, but they're done. We're done with them, they're done with us. And it's time to break free. It could be a lost relationship. It could be a huge hope of, oh, here's what I really want to see happen in my family, and it didn't happen. It could be hopes and dreams for an education, or hopes and dreams for whatever. It's real important to know that just because that hope died doesn't mean you can't have hope. Just don't hope in that anymore. There's a different hope. There's something else coming to support and give you encouragement and give you the spark of life. Because without hope, we don't have the spark of life. True? But it gets to look different from here. This is one of those pivot points, you know. You run into a wall, and that's as far as you're going to go. Well, you can go that way, or you can go that way. Can't really go back. Have you ever tried to go back? How successful was that? Not two. We can't go back. But we can go in a different direction, try something new, try something different. The wonderful thing is when you have faith, that spiritual component, you know that everything happens for a reason. And you know that everything is happening just the way it needs to for your spiritual benefit. That if you're being denied something, it's not because you're a bad person or you haven't done it right or you're not good enough. It's because there's something better. Something more your spirit or your soul needs and is longing for, and the direction that you're going is not the right direction for you. I know people are looking at each other and didn't I just tell you that? It's hard. We want what we want. Then the inner brat comes out and says, no, I'm just going to keep on. You know, I've had a lot of changes in my life, and I don't like change. I like it to be the way I know it's going to be. Right, wrong, good, or bad. It could be even yucky. But if it's familiar, I'm safe, right? Not. But that's what the brain tells us. That's why you need all four, because sometimes the brain by itself isn't enough. Sometimes our feelings aren't enough. Our feelings can be distorted by expectations. So that's why we need the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual all together, leading us in the right direction. So when a dream changes, we adapt. That's what we do. That's the great thing about being a human being, is that we can adapt. And the hard part, though, is that we sometimes can't visualize or envision it differently. Well, this is how it's always been. I always go to Old Country Buffet on Tuesdays. How can it be different? How can they close that restaurant down? I have to have something. Now I have to do it differently. But it's all about choice. It's all about choice. And we can make a new choice. In any given moment, we can make a new choice. But the clearest choice is physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So we have to do it differently, think differently, feel differently, and spiritually be different. Makes sense? All of those are a part of that shifting and that changing. Sometimes we don't know when we've lost a dream. We just keep on, keep on. We get in that trudging. If you're trudging, you may have lost a dream and didn't know it. If one day just bleeds into the next day, bleeds into the next day, bleeds into the next day, you've lost a dream, dear friend. Sorry, but you have. And now it's time to look for a new one. Now it's time to open up to a new thing. And the dream was lost not because you weren't good enough, because the dream wasn't good enough for you. So letting it go is this wonderful moment of grace when you can step up into greatness. Better than you were. Happier than you were. Phil's not my first husband. He's the best, but he's not my first. When that first relationship died, I grieved terribly. Terribly. Because, I had that dream of here's what it's supposed to look like, and till death do you part, all of that sort of thing. And when that dream died, I suffered. It was awful. But God had a better plan for me. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Better than I could have imagined. And he's sitting in the back of the room. I had to let go of that dream and be willing for a new dream to come along. And I didn't know what the new dream was till it was there. And even then it was like, oh, well, this should be interesting. Had no idea what to do about that, but other than, okay, this is going to be interesting. So shifting dreams and shifting gears is painful if we let it be, and marvelous if we allow. We allow it to be. Now, allow is the hardest spiritual tool there is. Because that means I've got to get out of my own way. Allow is not fun. I'm kind of that person. I'm a go-getter. Here's the job, here's the task, here's the thing. I'm going to set my goal there. There's the target. I'm going to go for it. So to let go of that and say, okay, that's not working out for me. That's not doing so well. Let me allow something else to unfold. I don't want that. I want to have control. I want to fix it. I want to make it my way. I'm sure none of you were like that. At all. Never. You're in this room, you're probably really strong-willed. A little bit nonconformist, or a lot, as the case may be. Don't like to be told what to do. Like to do it your way. Right? Right? Yeah. So you hear me. So I'd like to walk us through a process by which we can discover and release that which is no longer working for us on the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual level. Okay? How does that feel? Feel right? Okay. If you have no idea what the dream is that you may have lost, but you do realize that you're trudging through life, I want to walk you through a bit of a process to help you discern. You may not get what that might be right now. Know that the information will come to you. Sometimes people need to be alone. Maybe you're driving in the car and go, oh, of course, and that sort of thing. So just be aware that you may not have that information right this minute, but it will come. It will come. And if you know specifically what your dream is, then we'll work with that. Okay. Okay. Fine. Do you resist like I do? I don't know. I'm being asked to open it up for questions if somebody has a question about this. So apparently somebody has a question. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I don't really have a question, but I've been feeling a nagging to like say something.
Okay.
And so the dream, I've been taught when we have lost dreams, they are equivalent to energetic stillbirths. So it is a very powerful thing, and sometimes it helps, especially for women, to release it at the level of the sacral chakra.
Okay. So it's like an energetic stillbirth, talking for the people in the back. And to release it on that energetic level on the second chakra is really good. Yes, sir.
This is resonating with me, but the question I would have, and the request I would have is as we go through this, help us to detach that feeling of failure from the lost dream.
Absolutely. 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 Yeah. Because, absolutely. So, yes. Yes.
I understand all of that, but all of that is distinct from
Failure.
what resonates with me and that's failure.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. We'll do what we can. I'm feeling them adapting things already. Any other questions or concerns or comments before we move forward? Okay. Let's take a deep breath in. And exhale. Another deep breath in. And exhale.